Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go. And boom to the upside it is, with BTC going back up to that 0.65 region of the diagonal pitch fan we've had price in since January on the daily live stream, just tracking it as it goes along these paths of the Fibonacci sequence. Will we get a rejection up in this region and a distribution leg back down into some of the order blocks down at the 0.5 or the 382 or the 236? Is it down for Bitcoin from here, or do we just keep drifting all the way up and beyond? Does the liquidity sustain the move? Let's take a look at high block, where we can check out the liquidity. What is high block, you say? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters lie in wait. So let's do it now on the 1 minute time frame. Gotta log in to this. Give me 1 second. 1 second, please. There we go. So that one is logged in, and there we go. All right, let's try this again. Okie dokie. All right, so as we were coming back down into this region, we were talking about possibly getting a push up into the pools over here, that 390 million in 25xer shorts that just left their positions open there at 37,007, and we were talking about going and hitting them, and they hit them without hesitation.
Fatality.
And then it went up into these little pools of happiness up above, 56 million up at 37,271, and they went and grabbed that guy as well, faded off their liquidation and released their positions of the bigger players. Do they keep drifting higher and using their forced buy side liquidation to release their positions on this distribution leg up, or not? You got 5.9 billion in long imbalance now. At some point we could drift back down into. We went all the way up to the 38.3 region, and then 38.4 really, and then we dropped all the way down to 35.4. So there was a $3,000 drop as a big player cashed out, most likely a BlackRock type entity that cashed out on the shorts and all of those longs as well. So do we drift higher? Do we hit that wick up at the top at 38? Normally we go and reclaim that wick, and they probably will without hesitation. Let's go ahead and go into what we projected really quick from yesterday. We were expecting a little bit more of a retrace down, but we'll show you on the the momentum, how this angle can shift into an ABC in the opposite direction. But we did get that push up to those pools we were looking at. We didn't get it in the same time frame we were projecting, but we definitely went up into these regions. So these were your points of interest to look up into. So we'll get into that in a moment. But first, let's go into the higher time frame pools to see what lurks above and below. As above, so below. So we have to go check out above and below for the price action. Here on the 7-day, you have a little bit more draw to come up to this wick perhaps, and possibly put in a higher high and unbelievably come back down from there. It's amazing that we're saying 38.5 here, as there is really nothing to support it on the liquidity side of things. If we go to the monthly time frame, there's just nothing up here, but they keep getting shorts to open to fuel the move higher. At some point the piper will be paid, and they will come back down into these regions, because the imbalance is to the downside on the monthly and above. I won't get into the amounts of that, but you can see how all this green liquidity is waiting down below. So we came back and grabbed a few billion up here, double digits at that 37.8. Do we have anything up above? No double digits up above just yet. So coming to that 37.8 reclaim, and the wick might not just be right away. We could be going and doing a vector recovery before coming lower. Do we have any liquidity on the downside? Let's go ahead and take a look at the 6 month. Nothing really down here. Starts to begin at 34K and sweeping the lows here. Do we come down into sweeping the lows or not? This is the weekend, so the weekend is low liquidity, so you can expect a little bit more of a sideways alt rally as Bitcoin trims profits and they cycle it through the alts and bring it back to Bitcoin, and this kind of tag team wrestling begins with the alts rally, profit taking, moving back to Bitcoin until they cycle back down. Are we in the distribution leg of this liquidity zone? We did come back into this range high at the 30. We didn't quite come up to that 39.6. We could go reclaim this range high on from May of 2022, May 8th, and then we could just tap that range and start to come back down again. As it stands right now on the 2-year, we have swept the entirety of the liquidity here. There's nothing really more other than a price point that they're looking to reach, but the liquidity does not suggest that it would continue sustainably higher until there's more short liquidity pinged in. They have just wrecked all of the shorts completely. So let's go into the chat, see what's up, and go start putting this into LTC. Yeah. Let's go look at LTC. I wanted to go look at LTC from yesterday's update anyway. So we were talking about a possible continuation up into this pool. We were streaming from about here, I believe, right around here, and we were talking about coming up into this pool and fatiguing out. Where did we get this order block? Up in this region. So these pools, these fair value gaps were taken, and what you can do here is you take a retracement tool from this impulse to here, and this gives you that essentially 886 bounce out of here. Is this a strong enough continuation idea? This fair value gap that we were talking about hitting after our live stream did get reclaimed, and then they fatigued back down. Here was your order block, and then we're starting to move out from there. The 7697 region of this impulse would be where people would be looking to take profits on this, and on the larger term idea here of the 236 from yesterday, that a market maker with good math would have put their stop loss on the 786 retrace bounce idea. The confluence zone would be looking to take profits up in these regions, and that is where this kind of lines up with the math as it stands right now. We'll get into the momentum and come back to it in a minute. I want to not jump the gun and then go back to BTC real quick. So that, where was this? I just wanted to keep accountable for what we were seeing and where we would have looked to pivot. So this circle was the key zone here, and we'll say why that is in a minute, how you could have pivoted from this idea into this idea that will appear on the momentum. And that's why pure price action people need to consider indicators, because the right indicator suite will have you at hello most definitely here, and we'll see why in a minute. So let's go into the monthly time frame. So this monthly time frame is definitely getting a possible draw to the downside. Just looking at the liquidity imbalance for BTC, if we go ahead and throw on our momentum, let's just do it now. And the link is in the description for more. Heads up display is on. Scroll down to features, toggle everything at your leisure. We also just released a short about supply and demand and how that fits into accumulation distribution ideas. So go ahead and check out that 1-minute video if you don't mind. This is the thing in its glory. You can read about all the components, the trend cloud, the baselines, the stochastic array, all that fun stuff, the dynamic alerts that keep you updated on your own, so you don't need to rely on some narcissistic guru type to keep you getting signals. You can do it yourself. That's why the idea, be your own guru. You don't need anyone but yourself. So this rocket ship takeoff from the 15K, and here's where you would have seen the cloud possible recovery here and the super trend. Let's go ahead, shifting to the 4 hour here. Let's go see where the market shifted to the upside. Most likely it was on a 15-minute time frame. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yes sirree, it was at the bottom of the Keltner channel here. So we are starting to get this bearish retest of this zone for BTC. The idea, the projection that we were talking about coming up here into that fair value gap, got a rejection and came back down here. And then you started to get the baseline cross up idea here on the 15-minute. Now this cross up event can also be alerted to your phone, and this idea of the short that you would have been in profit, and you would have possibly pivoted by seeing here the cloud. Let's go here, give me a second. This was the angle of a cloud here, so let's go see what that cloud was. That was the hourly cloud potential, I think, and the hourly cloud did not change its curvature, and you would have seen that this angle is still pointing to 2 o'clock and would have not seen this come to fruition. So the volume was not supportive of the idea of going down just yet. We were thinning, but we hadn't reached that point. Now, are we reaching that thinning point now? Is a possibility. So let's go back to the 5-minute here and see on the fractal scale of things. We were talking about that 15-minute cross-up baseline event, and even prior to that you were getting it on the 5-minute, and then this 5-minute break through the cloud, kiss the cloud and continue idea. You see it on all time frames. It just happens over and over again. So seeing this curvature right here on the 5-minute would have given you the idea for going long in the palm of your hand, just like the ice cream scoop effect of this cloud nature to the upside. And then we came back to this fair value gap, recovering this one, coming into the 618 region and beyond. We came all the way up to that fair value gap up in here, and then now we did a deep retrace. So we'll switch that over to deep, and we came all the way up to that 786 of the impulse to the downside. Do we fatigue here on the 786 for BTC and start to make our way down or not? That is the question. Let's do our daily descent through the time frames, and then I gotta entertain my kids and take them to a friend's house so my kids can play Minecraft on their network. So let's go ahead and do it now. All right, so going through the daily time frame. So the daily time frame, we talked about after our live how this would shoot up, and this money flow would also move up to the RSI here. We talked about this disparity of the money flow and the RSI. When the money flow is beneath the RSI like it is here, it wants to come up to the RSI. Like this fashion is something you see over and over again. Money flow below the RSI shoots up to the RSI. Rarely do you see the RSI come down to the money flow. So when the money flow gets beneath the RSI, you start to see this curveball pitch to the upside. Conversely, when the money flow comes above the RSI as it does here, you can see some sort of fatigue coming down to touch the RSI again. So this would have given you the idea to chill out on September 24th, wait for that cloud kiss idea, and boom. And so this is why we overlay them, and it's not just to make the indicator look cool. There's actual reasons for the money flow and the RSI to be overlaid in this manner. Down here is the Williams by Mr. Larry Williams, but it's a special smoothed out whole smoothing average layer where when that alarm crosses with the baselines, you start to get this downside draw, and we are at that zone where an alarm could cross. So be aware of that as the liquidity dries up to the upside. Do we reach a double top scenario in the recovery of this wick and start to make our descent on the distribution leg down? Watch the 1 minute short for that kind of idea. We had this move up from September. Fairly good move, 38%, I believe. Let's go ahead and double check that. 38% from down here. 52%. Up to the nuke was 38%, but this is a massive move from 52% from that bottom at September 11th all the way up to where we are now. Massive move for BTC. So seeing a little bit of a retrace to the cloud would be a healthy move if this is sustainable, and even if it's not sustainable, a retrace into the halving would make sense, and even coming down and double topping at some leg after that. All right, so daily time frame cloud is strong, still pointing to 2 o'clock, super trend in your favor, bullish narrative. This last leg of the stochastic RSI volume is tapering here on this daily candle close. You had a little bit less volume on this rise up here. There's kind of a price drift into the shorts idea. Going to the 22-hour time frame, everything overbought on all the oscillators. We had this hidden bullish divergence on the money flow as it was beneath the RSI. We talked about that disparity and watching out for that. And we're going to the 12-hour also overbought. You still have the money flow beneath the RSI. Does this come up to the RSI some more? The cloud is starting to taper here. This is a volumetric cloud. You can read about it. This is the trend cloud, a volume weighted cloud formula set in Heikin-Ashi and all that stuff, so you don't need to be in Heikin-Ashi. And yeah, so it's the super trend in the cloud, suggestive of coming back down to a KISS region in this fair value gap zone. A lot of liquidity down here in that vector candle, which is also a fair value gap. Coming down and recovering, we got this entire vector here, so we recovered this entire vector with this 12-hour candle here. So this has been recovered. The only non-recovery is down here, and this also coincides with the cloud kiss idea. Do you make this kind of double top idea, recovering the wick and then make your way down, or not? That is to be seen. Let's go to the 6-hour, shall we? 6-hour time frame, double top scenario on the Williams, and the money flow and the RSI getting close together. Still money flow beneath the RSI in that subtle 12-hour support. Do you get that last hoorah out to the upside? 4-hour time frame also had that hidden bullish on the money flow. You hear with that transparent crystal divergence here. We had that money flow disparity suggesting more upside. This is one of those plays where you don't want to play against that. So having the disparity of the money flow, the power of the money flow beneath the RSI is a strong one. So now the money flow is above the RSI, so you could chill out here on the 4-hour overbought time frame, possibly getting this MACD suppression to the downside. This is a multi-domain MACD, which is normalized to be leading. You can also get alerts of that to your phone. If we go to the, whoops, this is the 2-hour. How did I end up on that? Either way, the 2-hour did have that hidden bullish. I should have been looking at the 2-hour. Look at that. Holy moly, the 2-hour. Sleeper hidden bullish play on the 2-hour there. Interesting. I need to throw the 2-hour back into the mix. Sometimes these market makers shift their time frames like radio signals to send messages, and you got to be in tune with the message. Unfortunately, some YouTuber stole my 22-hour and co-opted it as his own and blasted it to his retail audience, so it's not as special as it used to be. So yeah, to the hourly time frame. So the hourly time frame cloud is looking like it's curving here in a manner. Do we start to see this kind of pullback to the cloud here? This curvature suggesting that the volume is starting to taper. As we saw on the daily time frame, the volume was less than the previous day, so we're kind of drifting up into this region. So do you get this overbought? Now we're starting to get the sauce of how the time frames tie together. These 4 numbers on the stochastic array are all those time frames we were just going over. So you can see how the diamonds coalesce into some meaning here, and we're going to take a look at that here. By the way, if you're looking to join a free trading group, I did put that invite link for the Momentum Trading Lab. You can join up here and talk to some free traders here, but also what else? We're looking at the quick guide here. So this is the different diamonds and circles and whatnot of the stochastic array. Circles represent the 2 time frames exhausted. Diamonds are 1 medium, 1 lower time frame at least. And the numbers represent how many time frames. The X's are at least 1 lower and 3 medium time frames exhausted. So it keeps you updated with those dynamic alerts to your phone, telling you the 6 and 7 time frames are oversold. What do you want to do? And so the time frames being overbought and oversold lets you know what's going on. So you got 5 time frames overbought here. We dumped down to the cloud, got consolidation, ripped beneath the cloud, stop loss hunt, continuation to the upside, little W formation, coming back into this BPR, fair value gap, balanced price range, fair value gap, recovery of the wick, and possible going lower. This 786 is one of those rejection ideas that people play on micro time frames that do play out. So it could be some retrace in order over the weekend, or at least into the weekly candle close. So watch out for that. Seeing these 15-minute time frames, the 15-minute ambiguous here on the stochastic RSI and the money flow coming back above the RSI, suggesting some fatigue and break of the cloud. If we look at the cloud on the 15-minute cloud also starting to get some curvature here, suggesting that if it starts to taper and you break down from this and then come back and then start to make your way on down, we will see. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is Asia range. So the Asia range doesn't normally bring the fire for the pump. They normally pump it and fade into London, pump and fade into London, as you see here, pump, fade into London, and let London do their thing. So if there's a little bit of a pump, they might fade it into London and let London do their thing. And then sometimes London will continue. So even if it goes up to here, it could fade into London and then start to make its descent. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. 5-minute, this rounded top idea starting to form. It's not showing so much strength as we get into this level. A lot of profit taken, most likely going on the backs of retail. Probably whales slowly taking profit until it reaches a threshold, in which case they will release the wick to the downside, coming down to these regions and Bart Simpsoning everyone, but who knows. Let's go ahead and take a look. Fatality, blah, blah, blah. I'm keen on your thoughts on BCH, Bitcoin Cash, all in on LTC. 4-hour money flow above the RSI. Yes, the 4-hour money flow above the RSI. CNC knows what's up. He's a avid watcher every day. I don't know why my phone didn't give me a notification when you're live. I've been waiting for it. Oh, sorry about that, Signified. Nice 2-hour noted. God, the swagger biting. MF. Yes, him. Really thought it was him. Yeah, he and the audacity that he doesn't give shout outs where he gets credit from. That's kind of like people calling, the Williams their own. I just couldn't do it. I would give credit where credit is due. Speaking of which, the adaptive moving average, this one is the Kaufman adaptive moving average. I didn't put it in the name, sorry, but it is the KAMA if you want to research about why I have this adaptive, and while we hit it on the 3-day, and I was talking about the 3-day adaptive, and we need to close candles above it. So this is where this adaptive moving average, the KAMA, this KAMA, Kaufman made this. It's a sensitive yet stable moving average, which factors out noise. It's basically a noise-reduced VWAP, a stable VWAP. And the last time we hit that on the 3-day was up here in March 2022. We rejected, we maintained bearish super trend, and then we closed beneath it and dropped. So this is one of those levels that we need to stay above here at 36,377. We went over it the other day. So this is one of those adaptive moving averages that is a hurdle that we have to overcome if this is a true trend to the upside. If we start wicking and closing candles beneath 36,237, you heard it here first, that is where you will drop and fade into the halving. Who knows? But it happened before and it will happen again, and the last time we touched it was in March of 2022. We did flip it over here in September 2021, so if we flip it, we could be going on a massive tear continuation to higher highs. So this is a notable point on the charts for the 3-day. All right, so jumping the gun and I'm moving too fast. You might have to slow it down because I have to get out of here too. So kids are waiting and wife needs to work as well. She's a nailist and does some nails at the house. So let's see if we see this possibility, the money flow and the curvature of these things, these waves suggesting possibility of getting a rejection off the 786 here. We're going to go back to Bitcoin Cash and LTC, and let's see. Hey, what's up, Effin Book? Come on in, make yourself at home. Let's go back to LTC with the momentum on and what we are looking at. So you're getting this huge massive cloud as the profit taking took this rip to the downside down to that level we were talking about, the 236,786 bounce. And are we getting that 786 bounce continuation up to the profit zones up here for these bullish narratives or not? So this, we need to maintain on LTC. We need to flip this cloud and see this cloud kind of turn in this manner for this to be genuine. And then most likely you come up and then you kiss the cloud and you continue. And then if you're short, if you're not clear, you can look for that confirmation, the higher probability setup. We're not about buying breakouts, we're looking for confirmation. So these confirmation moves is where it's at. So we were talking about coming up here and rejecting and coming down, and this would have been your killer entry zone. We're using the math, the liquidity, the momentum on your side. We have that 3 pillars of trading short there too. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, you can watch that 1-minute short about the 3 pillars of trading. And if you go into the 15-minute, so the 15-minute curvature in a manner here, but it's getting this cross down event, expressing some fatigue. You take cross up to cross down. This is a scalper's delight. So if you're up in this region, beware. You could set your stop beneath the super trend, see what's up. The hourly is overbought here, so we're looking for this hourly time frame to do its thing. Let's go see what that's about, and then we'll look at Bitcoin Cash. So basically this hourly cloud, the hourly cloud was previously mighty thick in purple sell volume from this drop here, and so it's absorbing that idea and possibly coming up above. So the momentum of the baselines of the hourly are still on your side here. So while you have that 15-minute cross down event up here, the baselines on the hourly are still pushing higher. So we could get that flip of this cloud idea and that push up. Now you wouldn't, this is not an entry model. You would have been entered most likely if you're looking for other confluences off the stream on some Fibonacci math levels of this impulse using a retracement tool and seeing that 786 bounce. Just as Bitcoin could be getting a rejection off that 786, you get these rejections off the 786. I don't know why it's the hot sauce these days, but 786 is the number that people are looking at for that recovery level. Same with how we rejected off that 786 too. So do we just range bound trade and slowly make our way up here? The momentum suggesting monitor of that cloud and seeing this continuation idea up to that profit zone at the bare minimum at that 76.97. Once you kind of make a flip of that cloud and possible kiss of it at some point, maybe you could come up to here and come down. So we'll be looking at it like this over the weekend. So the Bitcoin price, depending on how it stabilizes, will give the USDT dominance a little bit of a drop, as it has been dropping down into that bearish level. Broke the impulse and coming into this region of the bearish trend-based fibs. When the USDT dominance drops, people looking to put their USDT into trades, so they're investing into altcoins. The altcoins rallying hardcore to the upside. You are getting a nuke, which is a swing trade idea for profit taking and pullback possibility. Does it mean immediate? No. Look here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before the pullback, but it eventually pulled back beyond that first nuke. So at some point it might retrace down to the cloud. What were we looking at for this cloud kiss over here? I guess we were looking at it in advance, so it didn't actually go down to that region, but the idea of the continuation path to the upside. Okay, Bitcoin Cash and back to Bitcoin, and then we'll bid you adieu. So let's go to Bitcoin Cash, BCH, USDT. Oh, I already had a Bitcoin Cash thing. What's this about? What is this little bit of happiness? So we'll go back here. We'll most likely delete this entire thing. So we were looking at downside back here, and it did play out to that region. That's interesting. All right, so let's go fresh, fresh and fresh, super fresh. So here we go. So we're gonna just draw the impulses where we would want to see them. First one over here. Where did we go? We went to a pocket bounce off that 6.6 institutional level, bounced out here, and then now we're coming to this. Got a 618 rejection coming back down to this region. If we look at the trend-based fib levels, we could do impulse, retrace, continuation. Staying above this 236 zone is where you'd be looking for longs on this level at 223.8. So this level at 224, kind of flipping of this range. We went into this zone, hit these previous drop points, holding the cloud on the daily time frame. This daily time frame cloud is still strong in the path of the momentum to the upside. You had that previous profit taking wick, but it held the super trend. So this super trend is holding on the daily. If we look at the liquidity, I think Bitcoin Cash is on here, so let's go ahead and do it. BCH. Yes, it is. So we can look at BCH's liquidity, which is cool. Can't go wrong with that. So they previously came back and took $117 million in longs, like, don't mind us, as somebody peeled out their profits and a lot of shorts opened up, and they V-shaped recovered into those shorts. As we zoom in here, they V-shaped into the shorts.
Fatality.
And then they faded off of those 25xers, and now they're absorbing the buys and the sells as it does with the V-shape, and then it considers double bottoming off of the 50xers down here that are long. And so if you are in a long off of one of these V-shaped bounces, even though the $71 million short imbalance that is up here, please be careful with that stop loss. But there, as it stands right here on the liquidity, you have more still up above 2.52 million up at the 242.53 region. There's a whole slew of pools up here at 25x for them to go back to after this other V-shaped recovery of those inducement points for this short. So I'd be surprised if they don't come up to that 242.53, and it's also lined up with a fair value gap over here of 75x, 4 million players that are completely underwater and hoping for a miracle. So that 243.17 we can mark off in the charts, 243.17, 243.17. That doesn't seem, because we're on a daily time frame, that's why. Seems like not that far away. So it's going into the charts, 243.17. It's not that high up from here, actually. It's only like a percentile. So coming back up into this vector on the 12-hour, Cloud did have a massive profit taking. Some big players paid themselves, as you do. Holding the super trend on the 6-hour here. Super trend is holding to the upside, but we're going kind of sideways in a channel here. You can use a regression trend for that, and you can see that it is holding the upper half of that trend, and we can bounce back up on this cloud if we can flip it. If we go to the 4-hour here, 4-hour is potentially, it had a little bit of violence, so this cloud has seen better days. And yeah, it's kind of looking like it would come down. That is a pretty massive wick that it would have to come back and recover. It's kind of an ugly wick to look for an idea too long. It's possible that when it recovers this pool up at that 25, that 22, what is it? Let's look at the entirety of this. Let me zoom on in. Let's see. We're going to look into that candle over here. You have a 4 million short at 50x over at 244.6192. 244.6192. Let's just put it on the blast. 244.6 over here. So in here you have a short, a massive 50x short that they're likely aiming at. So you could be seeing this A, B, and C to recover the wick, and then you could get your double bottom idea for a long. I don't like seeing unrecovered wicks for this zone. This looks like a B consolidation trap. We call it a idiot box in the Momentum Bastard Discord. The idiot boxes are where you want to be careful of entry, because the B waves are generally traps for people to be FOMOing in, and you don't want to FOMO in. The super trend is still to the bearish nature. The cloud is purple, so until we can flip that cloud, similar to what we were looking at with Litecoin, you're getting a lot of rejection wicks off of this cloud, and the cloud is not curving in the manner that I would see going to the upside just yet. So look for this guy to get reclaimed. If we use the Fibonacci here on the retracement idea, this will line up with the 706 level almost perfectly. So coming to that 706, we already hit the 618, so we can switch this template over to a deep retrace, and going to that deep retrace region gives you this confluence on confluence. And so seeing this come down, reclaim the wick, would be something I would like to see for a better entry model if you're trying to go long. If you took profits at the 6 time frames overbought here, congratulations. The 6 number on the stochastic array is a decent idea to think about. You get that 6 level entry and 6 level entry out, and all these come to your phone as you go shopping and whatnot too. So this is a nice idea to look at, a continuation of that recovery of the wick. Not sure about what's going on with that upside, but it looks slightly different from Litecoin. If we go back to the Litecoin, just to juxtapose, Litecoin has slightly higher above the cloud. It is still thick, but we are coming above the clouds. This reclaiming of the cloud is a slightly different narrative. You see what I mean? So this is, and then also we do have a wick down here to recover, so that could occur too, but it wasn't as violent of a V-shaped So it's possible that it holds. All right, so let's go back to the Bitcoin and see what we can see here, glean what we can glean. The hourly time frame now starting to cross down. We're getting the flashes of the baseline cross down here. This is what the cross down event looks like. You get the price action beneath these baselines, and this gives you the idea of fatigue on that time frame. So we're starting to see the potential of that hourly cross down event. Now it doesn't have the death throw that goes violently, but the A wave will bring you a B wave, and if the B doesn't go above the 50% level of that A wave, then you could likely see a C. So it looks like we're coming back down and seeing that flash of the helix. You can also turn into an alert on your phone. So this is my story, and I'm sticking to it for BTC, looking for that cloud fatigue potential as we get rejected on this 786. Depending on how sideways we go, could give a little bit of alt some love, but watch out for that. The Bitcoin dominance is kind of reclaiming some ground here. So as the dominance increases and you start to see people not possibly getting scared out of their trades because Bitcoin dropping, be careful about your alts, because this is how the cycle works. You can screenshot this idea, but as the dominance increases and Bitcoin decreases, the alts dump hard. So be careful about the dominance. Watch the dominance level and watch that BTC what it's doing level too. All right guys, that's all the time I have, so let's go take a look at the chat one last time. Got in at 757k. Oh, nice. Appreciate it, Tia. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Just trying to get 1% better. Nice. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the